We have snow again today as well.
Spring, I meant to say. Iowa spring.
With spring, Iowa snow, what can I say? It's fine distinction.
We should say, the Russians in the group may have noticed, we talk about the weather, and that is a small talk theme that we use quite a bit. I think we have mentioned this before, is talk about the weather. Vlad, is that something that the Russians frequently talk about if you need to talk small talk at the beginning of a conversation?
Hello.
Hello, yes. Vlad, you're with us, right?
Yeah, it looks not like a spring. There is a lot of snow, a lot of traffic jam on the street, and I hope it will be warmer next week.
Ah, good. Now, when you meet somebody, Vlad, when you just begin to speak, in the Russian context, is weather a theme that you talk about a lot?
Excuse me, what weather?
So, in conversation, this is an interesting phrase, small talk. When you just meet somebody, right? The first minute. What sort of little topics can you discuss? Americans like to talk about the weather. What topics might Russians talk about?
Any topics, absolutely.
Any topic.
Yeah, it depends on context or place.
Ah, okay.
But
so
weather is most general topic. You can speak about it too.
Yeah, very nice. And it's also a very neutral topic, right? It's not positive, it's not negative, it's not judgmental, right? Maybe today it's judgmental because I can say my weather is better than the weather in Omsk. But maybe, maybe you will say no. Omsk weather is just fine. We love this kind of weather. What are some other? Anton, you're beginning to think about this. What other small talk topics? Let's do Russian first. If you're speaking in Russian, Anton, what are some other small talk topics you might talk about?
As Vlad said, we don't have any specific topics, and we don't like to chat, actually. But we still have extroverts forced there everywhere. Vodka. No, not vodka. No. Sometimes, well, we usually say, how do you do in Russian? It's a general question, and it can mean anything. We have one standard answer. It's нормально or okay.
And that нормально is a wonderful word, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And after that, we can talk about anything we like, if the situation allows us to talk about it. About business, money, whatever you want.
So let's talk a little bit about the word "normalno" for Professor Marston, who is not a Russian speaker. So I ask you how things are, and you answer "normalno." How would you explain that word, Anton?
Oh, well, in English, I'll translate it as regular. It's okay, just like any time according to a norma.
It could be very bad. It's just whatever is normal, right? How are things? Okay. Professor Lero can tell me this may be a good place where "okay" would be a good translation in English, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Как дела? Нормально. Yeah, okay. But it doesn't really. Okay is also very. It's fake. Not giving you much information. Yeah, it's fake. And what happens if you say to somebody, how are you, Anton, and they say terrible? Do they ever answer that way?
If they care about you, they might ask what's going on, what happened. If they know, they'll say okay as well.
Okay. So not a lot of small talk.
Yes, we don't like to talk all the time. Well, I've seen people who talk all the time about anything, and the conversation doesn't mean a thing. And yet, I don't like to steal my words.
And what would be a good Russian noun for a person like that, who talks all the time?
Talk all the time.
What would you call that person in Russian?
Boltun. Yeah.
Yeah, from boltach, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Someone who sort of gabs or is full of hot air. Chatterbox, yeah. Very nice. Now, Professor Marston, I think, did you give us some other possible topics in English? So small talk will play a greater role in English, perhaps, than in Russian. So, Professor Marston, if you and I were to meet on the street, we might talk about the weather. What else might we talk about?
Well, we might talk about something like the price of gas, or...
Right, so if you're standing, in a place where you're by a car, or talking about, gasoline is a big story, a big topic.
We probably, unless we are really comfortable with each other, we probably will not talk about politics.
Yeah, that was my next question, is what could you not talk about, right? So prices are neutral, weather is neutral, clothes or some other topic is neutral. But as Professor Liros put in the chat, almost never, and Professor Marston just said, almost never politics or religion. So, Professor Marston, what church do you go to? would never be a question.
Have you been saved?
Really.
Have you been saved?
Have you been saved?
Yes, in some narrow context you might be asked that, but they're not a context that I spend much time in.
Yeah.
And probably we don't talk about sex. I say probably because in my
Might also
generation,
be context.
yes, it's not done. But I noticed that that might be generational.
And Vyacheslav, are these also what we might call taboo topics in the Russian context as well?
Taboo topics is religion. Yes, about religion. I never talk about these topics with my friend and with other people, but I will talk about political news, maybe, and about weather, family. Yes.
Ah, so you think politics is a safe topic sometimes?
Yes, of course.
Ah, see, if I were to meet Professor Liro on the street, that would almost never be a topic. If I knew him and knew what his politics were, maybe I would say, boy, those Republicans are just terrible this week. But in Texas, with so many Republicans around, if I'm not careful, I can find myself in a very bad situation very quickly by insulting the person I'm talking to, right?
For example, I talked to my brother on the phone last night, and it's one topic that politics is one topic we almost never talk about because I know that will cause a conflict with my brother, who is as far to the right as I am to the left, and that takes some doing. Or I simply have to change the subject. So I told him it was snowing. He lives in Hawaii now. And
so weather's a very good topic.
And so he said, it's because of global warming that you have snow. And he said it jokingly because he is a global warming denier.
Ah, so...
So he doesn't believe the empirical data that tells us how much warmer our climate is getting. So, so that was the closest that he came to politics. And he made that remark, and I said, what I know is what I see, and that's I have snow on the ground. And then I changed the subject. So it's, for me, it's always very interesting to see if I can play this little game with my brother.
Well, that's, for some of our Russian group, why we always seem to ask about the weather in Omsk. We are fascinated because you are so distant, but it's also a small talk topic as well. Professor Lero, this is very interesting. You and I seem to be dropping off at exactly the same time.
Ah.
I always thought the problem was on my end, but now I wonder.
Maybe it's me.
You and I have just dropped off twice at exactly the same time.
And I am just as solid as a rock up here in the snow. Who knows?
Nah.
What? Oh, that's curious.
Well, why don't
I'm on Firefox.
And I went from Safari to Chrome, and it happened as well. But you and I were just absolutely at the same time.
And I'm on Chrome, just crowing away up here, nanny, nanny, nan. And so I've put, this is maybe not a small talk thing, but it is words that you don't normally hear in a language class. I wrote nya, nya, nya. And in Texas, when my daughter was small, she learned to say, nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
Yeah.
And did your daughter learn to say that, Pete?
She did indeed.
And Joe?
I think so. Nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It means I'm cooler than you are.
It's best said with a little sing-song. Nanny, nanny, boo-boo. Nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
Exactly.
So try that. Nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
And I have to do that in defense against my colleagues in Texas who have springtime now.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are talking about weather again. Actually, we could probably talk about weather for an hour and a half. So I'll be quiet now.
Why don't we throw it to Professor Lero, who's going to continue our discussions about nationalistic topics and nationalism and stereotypes.
But let's define this word, nationalism. Anton, what is nationalism?
Nationalism is the belief that your nation is better than others just because you live in the country and belong to one nation.
Okay, that's good. Vlad, agent, Vlad, what's nationalism?
Nationalism. First of all, it is It is ideology, is policy direction, about how to describe it. I can say that nationalism as political ideology, political movement means about national community in a relation with the state. It's like a protect of nation interest, interest of society, something like that.
Okay,
It's
Slava.
complicated.
Slava, what's
It's
nationalism?
ideology and political directions, maybe. I think it's very bad political directions. It's about values of the nations,
Yeah.
and
You
I think it's bad.
You think nationalism is bad? Does everybody agree that
Yes.
nationalism is bad?
Hard to
Negative?
say.
What's the alternative? Isolation?
Mm.
Internationalism?
Well, actually, I agree on international points on cosmopolitan. I have an international view, and I believe in cooperation between countries. Although I have such thing as politics and international politics as well. And politics may spoil everything, because every country has its interest in the world.
Well, those are good definitions. Nationalism is a very strong identification with the state, with one's state, and kind of it is an identification and a willingness to advance the state, a willingness to expand the state or to advance it culturally or materially or politically or internationally, something like that. So we have been looking. This week we've been talking about stereotypes, and we're continuing our conversation about stereotypes, and we are looking at this new television show, The Americans, which is which has to do with Soviet spies during the Cold War America. And Anton, Slava, and Vlad, did you all watch an episode of this show?
I have some problems with watching, but I have watched a half of pilot episode.
Okay, well that's good. Anyone else?
I watched 3 series, the American shows, very great shows. I download them on torrent tracker. I don't watch in Hulu because Hulu.com only watch in USA. Yes, and I download on torrent tracker. And very great TV show.
Good show. And there's a lot in there about stereotypes, is there?
Yes, very many stereotypes in show because about an American cities and about Russian people, And in my opinion, its TV show a little bit strikes fear on on American people. Not at all, but maybe some American cities, because in TV show all Russian people who live in America it's spy. They very lie and very fight. Very dangerous people.
Is that true? That's true, isn't it?
It's not true. I think it's not true. It's only TV show.
Only TV. Oh, yeah. Only a TV show. So, what do you think? Slava, thanks. That's very, very good. Vlad, what do you think? Is it just a TV show?
You know, I have my own point of view about in general all American movies and series about Russia, because I think mostly in 99% perception about Russian from point of view American, based on stereotypes, because there's many historical mistakes, sometimes gross mistakes about environment in Russia in such period. You can see it in a lot of films. But the most annoyed thing, to my mind, is the language, because it looks very funny and ridiculous. For example, when Arnold Schwarzenegger speaks Russian, because I think if you guys do film about Russia, you have to at least hire a Russian consultant, for example, or best way to hire a Russian actor. But if talking about the Americans about this series, I can't say anything bad, because I saw not enough to make some conclusions about it. But my first impressions was good about it.
Vlad, thank you. That's a very good analysis. Anton, what about language? What about the language? Is that
well,
the way people speak?
You've been in Russia and you know how Russians really talk. You heard the information, how they speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And can you compare the intonation you've heard with what you've seen in the movies, or maybe heard in audios, or maybe seen in video games? I can't really.
Mm-hmm. I think that every time I read a story about a spy who could speak 10 languages fluently, and I roll my eyeballs. I react with skepticism because I know how difficult it is to speak without an accent and to speak a language with correct intonation and cadence and vocabulary, and it's very, very difficult. So we have this show, we have this TV show. In the blog, let's see, and in the blog we asked you to consider 3 questions. Do you think that this show will improve or worsen the image of Russians in America? Will this show improve? Will we think? How will this show change the image of Russians in America?
Well, as for me, I haven't seen the show, but I suppose that anything that can show that Russians are the same people as Americans and the feeling will be positive on Russian image in American eyes.
Lad, what about yourself? What do you think?
For me, it's difficult to judge because, as I said, I should watch a little bit more, at least.
Mm-hmm. Anton?
Well, what else can I add?
Okay, all right. Well, listen, Anton. As long as you're there, here I want to know if you yourself, personally, Anton Tereshchenko, have you ever benefited or suffered by being stereotyped? Have you ever been stereotyped?
Yes, I
Yes.
have been stereotyped.
Tell us about that situation, and then tell us whether that you were benefited, whether you benefited or were harmed by that.
I used to have a long hair, shoulder hairs, and everyone considered me as worker or somehow in the best cases. Yeah, so it was a good for me because I wanted to see myself, not to some category of people. Yeah. So I didn't have any benefit from it. And besides, it wasn't good. It wasn't really good for us, for me, to have a shoulder hair. Well, if I speak about practical meaning, because my hobby, that's the word.
Slava, what about you?
I have not benefit and suffered stereotypes about me, but was one story. I work in a small lawyer company, and my employer say me what I typical lawyer. I don't agree with him because I think I not stereotype.
Okay, well, what is a typical lawyer? I mean, that's a good question, and that's excellent. So what's a typical lawyer? What did he mean when he said?
Maybe typical lawyer is a person who talk about problem very short and clear. Понятно. Very short and clear. Talk about problem. It's a person who talk with clients very progressive for business, maybe.
Good. That's good. Every time I go to Russia, somebody decides that I am a spy, and I'm not sure why that is. But somebody sooner or later thinks that I'm working for the CIA or for the NCIS or one of those people, and that's a stereotypical reaction. That's a stereotypical reaction. Let's see, who have we not heard from? So, have you ever, Anton? You're on my screen right now. Have you ever stereotyped other people, Anton?
Well, most certainly I did. Just like any other of us. Stereotypes other people. So let me remember.
Stereotyped other, but yeah.
Well, I'm usually stereotyping people who perform music, for example, or I can also stereotype someone who's from another city. I have a lot of stereotypes about that, especially about Moscow or St. Petersburg. Yeah. Of course, eventually I would understand that most of my thoughts that were connected to society and its stereotypes aren't true, but I must figure it out eventually. Yes.
Okay. Vlad, how about you? Have you stereotyped anyone?
Do you mean suffrage or
Anyone?
anyone?
Anyone? A fellow student, or a professor, or a coworker, or an employer, or
I can give you a lot of examples. For example, about my best friend. He's a boxer about maybe 5-6 years, and a lot of people ask him about how can you study, because boxers very stupid people, because they get a lot of hits in the head. But my friend really a kind of genius in mathematics. Nobody know mathematics so good, and I think it's a very bad stereotype about sportsmen in this case.
And Slava, have you stereotyped anyone?
My story about stereotype. Yes.
Yeah.
I now man who was very stereotyped is my teacher history in my school. He was very tall. He have a big and long beard and thick glasses, and he have loud and suggestive voice fears, and he was very cruel. It's very typical professor in my stereotype. By maybe stereotype about teacher history. For other, it's maybe other man.
The absent-minded professor. Absent-minded professor.
I wanted to say something about the pictures that I have just uploaded, and so I want to know if you are looking at a young man with long hair and a Megadeth T-shirt.
Which picture are we in?
A young man with long hair and a Megadeth T-shirt. Do you see that?
Image 136.
136.
Yeah. What can you say about this person in terms of stereotypes? sort of person would wear a shirt like this?
It's like the kind of thing Vlad would wear. Is that right, Vlad?
What marks you
Yeah.
as a KGB agent?
My opinion about this photo, yeah?
Yes.
I guess this guy like music. I guess rock music.
Music.
Yeah.
Music. Megadeth. I don't think Megadeth is music.
I don't think so, but but I know there's a lot of rock bands in America. A lot of zillion.
Megadeth is a heavy metal band.
Yeah, sounds like yeah.
This picture is of my grandson, whose ambition in life is to be a rock star. And he plays in a band. And I have to say that I haven't heard him because I've heard him practice, and that's enough. He's actually a pretty decent guitarist, but oh well, that's not everything. And then there's another picture, if I can get you to look at image 1995. This is the same young man with short hair. He decided that he was being stereotyped too much. And so this is his new look. His ambitions haven't changed, but he didn't want to be trapped by his terrible taste. Do you think this picture presents a different image?
Yeah, totally different person.
Yes, but the main difference is the haircut, and of course the shirt is different as well. So I have one more picture if I can get it here quickly, because I think for me it does make a point. Oh yes. Okay. This is, let's see, you should now see 1865, which is the same young man dressed for a concert in which he was playing.
And it's still loading. Ah, there he is.
You should see a hat, which is proudly decorated, and a sort of ripped up T-shirt. So if you were going to disguise yourself as a rocker, this might be the way you would appear. But I, of course, would prefer the one in the red and white shirt. But, you know, I'm the grandmother. So that's a contribution that I would have. One can easily be defined by one's clothes and one's haircut, and I heard that from you too, Anton. Anton, are you happier with short hair?
Sorry, what?
Are you happier now that you have your hair shorter?
Well, man with short hair looks masculine, I must admit it. Well,
Yes.
in most cases.
It's masculine, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I would like to ask another question about this image 1865. So we have this young man wearing, I can't even read, trash.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And he's got this mica on, this sleeveless shirt, and this. Is that a mica or a futbolka? What is that?
Mica. Yeah.
Mica. There's a mica. But I want to look at where the picture was taken. Okay? So look at this. Look at the wallpaper. A boy. And what kind of is that a rockers? Is that a heavy metal wallpaper?
Heavy metal style.
Heavy metal style wallpaper, yeah. What kind of, somebody describe that wallpaper for me. Very. Is it traditional or avant-garde, or what kind of wallpaper is that?
What room is it in?
Regular wallpaper.
Regular wallpaper, but it's not a rocker wallpaper. It's like it's good old-fashioned American wallpaper, right?
Right.
Right. Do you like it, Slava?
Yes, I like it. When I was very young, I always listened hard rock music.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's a kind of it looks like Russian wallpaper to me.
Yeah. I had almost the same wallpaper when I was young.
Yeah.
In my room.
Yeah. What kind do you have now?
Just yellow wallpaper.
Yellow wallpaper. Yellow wallpaper. Not all Americans have wallpaper. Many have just plain blank walls.
In painting.
Mm-hmm. Painted walls.
Yeah.
Once when I lived in Minsk, I had an apartment and I was changing the decor, and I said I want plain white wallpaper, and they said it's going to look like a hospital.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Let's see. I wanted Professor Smith. I'm hoping that someone will be able to talk about monochronic and polychronic characteristics. These are good stereotypical images, but that's a little outside my expertise.
Yeah, this is a topic that's a favorite of mine. Let's talk about time. How cultures view time is frequently very telling. So let me start with Anton. When you make an appointment with somebody to come somewhere, or someone makes an appointment with you, are Russians very punctual and on time, or maybe a little flexible?
Well, we had such a discussion in the university, and we came to the conclusion that Russians are somewhere in the middle between punctual and unpunctual. It depends on the situation. Yeah. Depends from a relationship between people. If you are making an appointment at the bar, you must be on time. But if you are making an appointment with some less familiar person, you can be late for 10 minutes, 20, hour, so, but I won't let anyone waste my time for this thing. So, that's some brilliant people.
So depending on who the person is, you might be insulted or you might not.
Yes.
And when somebody, and say you arrive at the appointment, and the person you are meeting is running late, do you feel insulted? Do you feel nervous? How do you feel?
Well, there are some, how to say, there are some things that we can, that doesn't depend from us. And enough. And sometimes you can just can't push the bus on the bus stop to make it in time. And I would try to be compassionate to the person. But if I know that he's late on purpose, that he's late because he wanted to be so, I'll be really insulted. Just he wasted my time on purpose.
And would you say that you are, Anton, a typical Russian? Do you think all Russians think that way?
Well, I'd like to if all the Russians could think like I do. Just I'm always on time. I feel the time, and sometimes I have to wait my mates for half an hour because they didn't catch the bus, or they're having some troubles at home and stuff that can really waste my and their time.
Ah, very good. So you said to waste my time. So,
Oh.
Oh. So, yes, I said so.
I think he dropped off.
It's KGB.
Yes.
It's me.
I mean, this is
So, and it's maybe fitting that he dropped off when talking about wasting time.
I am back.
Welcome back.
So, Professor Lero, did you drop off as well, or no?
I was off for a moment to chase a cat away.
Ah, okay. So Vlad, I wanted to ask you, for you, time is valuable, right? Is time like money?
Of course.
And when somebody sets an appointment with you, Vlad, do you try to stay on schedule?
Yeah, and moreover, when I have a date with somebody, I never come on time. I always come on date, for example, for 15 minutes before the date, because I always want to be sure that I will never late on the date. It's like my insurance.
Ah, very nice. So you are very conscious of time. You think about time a lot. Very nice. Let me ask, Vlad, somebody just mentioned the bus, riding the bus. Do buses in Russia always run on time?
That's my wet dream.
Who is that? Was that Anton?
Yeah, that's me.
All right, Anton, tell me about that. Why is it her dream?
Buses aren't really on time, but I'm glad that we have online service right now. It was recently opened that we can track our buses from the internet, from the GLONASS or GPS. I don't know which technology they use. So
GPS, yeah.
Yeah, GPS. And it's installed on every bus or trolley, and we can track where is it, how long will it take to wait for it, and most people don't know about the service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is very interesting because this sounds very punctual, right? So then if you are behind, everybody knows about it, right? The bus driver has to drive extra fast.
Mm-hmm. But,
Can you access
no,
this information on your phone?
Hmm?
Can you access this information on your phone?
Yeah.
Not on my phone, I'm afraid, because I don't have a cheap mobile internet. I use it from my PC just before I go from the home.
How far is it from your house to the bus stop?
I mean, I have to cross 1, 2, 3 roads, and then will be a bus stop. Well, 3 small roads for
3
one
blocks.
line.
3
Blocks.
blocks.
Not blocks. It's I can see my bus stop from my window. Yes. It's not a
What
block.
is a row?
Mm-hmm. So it takes 3 minutes, and yet sometimes I can't reach the bus stop in time because I have to put my clothes on. I don't want to watch the bus with my coat on and my shoes on and do it like that.
Ah, very nice.
So when you say rows, are you talking about buildings, apartment buildings? What is a row?
I didn't understand.
No, haven't a clue. A row for me would be a block or a street.
No, not a street. These roads aren't street. They are some sort of parking or what's it in English? It would be a drive road. Yes, it's not a street. Drive road.
Driveway.
Oh, driveway, perhaps, sort of an internal road.
Yes. I have 3 of it, 2 of it, and 1 road, which is, yeah, I can say it's a street road.
Okay, so
let's let me ask one more question. Anton, you're on the line here. In a business setting, say several of you are working in an office and there's a deadline. How do you feel about that deadline? Is it hard, fast, must meet that deadline, or is that maybe just a suggestion as to when a project has to be done?
I actually hate deadlines because everyone is so fussy about it, and I prefer some calm atmosphere to work in my own tempo, in my own rhythm. But yes, deadline is important for everyone because you have to do put the final effort in the job and finally finish it. After that, you can release, you can enjoy
relax, right?
Exactly.
And if you had to talk about how Russians overall, stereotypically maybe, think about deadlines. If I say, please send me all of your work by June 3rd, will everybody send me the work by June 3rd, or will some send it to me on June 8th?
No.
Some on...
No, we'll send it
who
on
was
June
that?
3rd, but we will do everything on the June the 2nd. Yes.
On June, now, okay, see, I think as attorneys or attorneys in training or judicial students, you may be, are you representative? Is this true of all Russians?
Well, usually students do so. They do everything last night, just before the exam or the deadline.
Ah,
Yeah.
now we're getting to it.
Yeah.
Yes. So students tend to be procrastinators, right?
Very procrastinating. Exhausting sometimes. I just want sometimes to lie on the bed and do nothing. Because, or I want to have a relax because my brain is full of activity during the day. I just don't want to think about anything. Just have a nap or play a video game to blow my steam off. Yeah.
Ah, yes, to let a little steam off. And was that a good stereotype of students?
No, it's not a good stereotype. It's very common.
But it's very common, yeah.
International stereotype, yeah.
I was about to say it's an international stereotype, yeah. So, Professor Marston, does that sound like the students at Drake University?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Very, very much so. Well, I have shared a document, a graphic under the heading, under the tab called Times, T-I-M-E-S. Can everybody see that?
Times.
Oh. Uh-huh.
We know that there are two types of cultures. We think there are two broad categories of cultures. One we call sequential. Sequential means everything in order. People do one thing at a time. Time is precise. Time is limited. Time is money. Deadlines are important. And then we know that there is another broad category of cultures we call synchronic, where people do multiple things at a time. And time is maybe a guideline, but not a rule. And that time is subjective and moldable. And relationships are more important than time. Now, to hear your descriptions this morning, Slava, do you want to help us a little here? Where would you put Russia, sequential or synchronic as a culture?
Second category.
The synchronic. See, this is very interesting because some of what I heard from Tony and from Vlad said Russia sounds a little bit more sequential. Times are precise. Deadlines are important. Why would you say the second one? Give me some examples, Slava.
No. I just know that in Russia, relationships are much more important than time. That's really.
That's the one that caught your eye, huh? Let's ask you about time and deadlines. Where do you feel? So if I say we are going to meet at 10 o'clock at the bus stop, when will you come? What time?
15 minutes before.
Oh, see, this is a very punctual group.
but it's only about me, not only about all Russians.
Now tell me about all Russians. If I say we are going to have lunch we're going to have a meal at 2 o'clock at the cafe, at the restaurant, when will you come? When will a Russian come? At 2 o'clock. But stereotypically, when will the Russian come?
2:20, maybe.
2:20.
Ah, now we're getting to it. Professor Lira, what was your experience in Russia, in Belarusia?
It's like that. Time is the approach to time is very synchronic, and I don't know whether it's me or whether it's my American stereotype, but I'm a monochronic person. I see time sequentially. Recently on American television, there are a number of commercials about different kinds of cell phones, and the appeal of these other cell phones is that you can multitask. You can do several things at the same time. And I watch these and I think, why in the world, why in heaven's name would anyone want to do that? And how in heaven's name can anyone see that as a benefit to a telephone?
Mm-hmm.
I'm perfectly content to do things one at a time.
So Slava, I love the phrase multitasking. Are you a multitasker, Slava?
Yes, of course. I have my own schedule on the week.
And do you frequently do many things at once?
Of course, yeah.
So give me an example. So maybe you're studying and watching television and texting with a friend and paying your bills. Would that be a typical evening of work for you?
Yeah.
All at the same time, right? All at the same time, multitasking.
Yeah, I'm working like that quite often. I can speaking with my friends in the chat. I can do some homework, and at the same time I can listen to music.
Yeah, so you are a pretty good multitasker. Anton, what about you? Are you a multitasker? Give me some examples.
I can't say that I'm a multitasker. Sometimes I'm irritating when people throw the tasks at me and do this, and do this, by the way. I prefer to do one thing at a time, especially when I'm working. When I'm entertained, yes, maybe, but when I'm working or study, I prefer to read, or just to write, or just to speak, yeah.
And that would fit in well with your view of time, right? So you are probably, like Professor Lero, a sequential person.
I think so. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so this is a very interesting point, because now it's very hard for us to make a stereotype based on the two of you. Slava is probably synchronic. You are probably sequential. Vlad, you're the tie-breaking vote here. How would you describe yourself, Vlad? Do you multitask?
It sounds going to sound banal, but it depends on the situation. Because, for example, if I have a preparation to exam, I will do only my exam and nothing else. But if my schedule more flexible, I can do a few tests.
You may be in the middle,
yeah.
Right? Ah, very nice. And
I'd like to know about what Dima thinks.
I see Dima has joined us. Yeah, Dima, can you hear us and see us? Dima, are you with us?
Yes, I hear you. Can hear me?
Ah, yes, but your audio is very low. Can you turn up the volume?
Okay. Now can you hear me?
A little bit better. Maybe turn it up even more.
I think I have some problems with the microphone.
Ah, but we can hear you pretty well.
Okay.
Pretend we're deaf.
Yeah, so speak very loudly. So, Dima, we've been talking about multitasking. People who do lots of things all at the same time. Do your homework, send a text, watch TV, listen to music. How would you describe yourself?
I often do some things at one time. I think it's normal.
Ah, and give me some examples. What might you do all at the same time?
For example, it's I can watch TV and read a newspaper or book and very often I think most often I usually drive a car and still on mobile phone.
Ah, yes, this is a very interesting kind of multitasking, isn't it? Is that legal in Russia, Dima? So when you're driving, can you talk on your phone? Is that legal?
It's legal if you use hands-free.
Hands-free. And is that a law in Omsk or in all of Russia?
Of Russia, so you cannot, you must use special devices as hands-free, so it's illegal. But usually everybody don't use it.
Ah, yeah. And what about texting? Can you text while you drive?
Oh, I don't like texting. I don't know why. So I prefer to phone by mobile phone, by
not to do texting.
So
Tony?
Ask Professor Smith about his experience of multitasking.
Yes, I think I multitask more. This is very interesting for me. I think I am changing. I think I was a sequential person and like to do one thing at a time. Now, more and more, I multitask. I maybe send some text or talk on the phone in the car. Professor Marston is trying to convince me to upgrade my phone so I can have voice recognition and can send a text but do it with my voice. And her argument is because I'm in the car so much and it's very dangerous to text while you're driving, that I should have some different way to do it. So she is helping me with my multitasking but looking out for my safety, which I appreciate. Now, Professor Marston, how much of a multitasker are you?
I would say that I've come to the point that I'm almost a former multitasker. And as soon as I say that, I'd have to say it's a lie.
So what sorts of things do you do at the same time?
When I watch television, I sew.
Ah.
And when I'm on the treadmill, I read or write. And when I cook, I tend to make more than one dish at a time. So I am the child of a man who called himself an efficiency expert. In the 50s, we had efficiency experts. And my father was a confirmed multitasker, although he learned that if he were very clever, he could pass many tasks off to an assistant. So the older he got, the better his assistants got at multitasking. I still multitask now. I thought when I retired from Drake I would stop that, but I didn't. So I have a question about what everyone does on the bus. And when you are on the bus, do you just sit on the bus, or do you read or do some kind of work or talk to another person? You sleep and write text at the same time.
Excellent. Student, a perfect student.
And destined to be a lawyer.
This is a very interesting question. What do Russians do on the bus? Who can help us with that?
I guess I can. People are sociable in Russia, and usually if you don't ride on the bus with a friend, you just keep silent, watching in the window, and or reading a book, or listening to music in your earphones. And if there are seats, you sit usually, but I prefer if there are a lack of seats, I prefer to stay on my seat, or maybe some old people or women. Yeah.
How long is your typical bus ride? How long do you spend on the bus?
I spend in my bus 30 minutes or 30 minutes in the traffic jam in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening when I got home. Oh well, there are some unexpected trips concerning my study and business maybe. It takes, well, 30 minutes as well, I guess.
Now, you mentioned what you do. Is there anything generational? So if you look to somebody else on the bus, maybe an older grandmother, what will she be doing on the bus?
She's usually sitting or chatting with her friends, just like that. We usually don't talk in the bus. It doesn't work like that in Russia. No, we can just, well, you actually can, but you won't be successful if you just talk with a stranger.
Okay. But she would be talking in person, not on her cell phone, right?
What do you mean?
So she would, when you said she will talk with her friends or talk to somebody, she will be talking to the person she's sitting next to on the bus, right?
Oh, that's also possible. I also heard that some grannies are making a conflict just to redeem her needs in talk, because old people are usually alone and they don't have to talk with anyone. And the public transport and hospitals are the best way to find some relatives and maybe even some people to say something. Because,
so she may go on a bus trip in part to socialize, to
oh,
see.
yes, this as well. Exactly. That's a way of saying about it. Sometimes we.
Ah, very, very interesting.
No, they don't meet anymore. I haven't seen a meeting granny in public for a long, long time. Maybe in houses, but no, not in public.
And how common is it to ride on the bus? Is it, here in the United States, for example, I live in a major city. There are 350,000 people in my city, and there are no buses. How would that seem to a Russian? Vlad, have you ever been in a Russian city where there are no buses?
No.
That would seem very odd to you, wouldn't it?
What do you mean about city? Because we have a different no. What population should be in the city, from your point of view?
Yeah, so I live in a city that has 350,000 people in it. That's a pretty big city.
Mm-hmm.
How many people live in Omsk? Tell me again, Vlad.
About 1,100,000.
1,100,000. Okay. So you have a bus system, right?
But not so good.
But not so good. Why is it not so good?
For example, I'm living on the edge of the city, and I have only maybe 2 buses per hour, and I almost never use buses. We have a system of little buses, you know, it's like marshrutka.
Yeah, explain that for Professor Marston, Marshrutka.
Marshrutka, it's kind of little buses for 13 or 14 places.
14. And so small buses with, you know, maybe 15 seats or smaller.
And it's one of the most dangerous transfers in Russia.
Very, very dangerous on the road, right? Many accidents. With
a lot of violations of law on the road, because usually in the hard times, one marshutka includes about, I don't know, 30, 25 people and more. Because, because everybody,
A good word we might use is overcrowded.
Yeah.
And they're dangerous, and many stories about automobile accidents with them, right? And so you use them?
I have no choice.
Yeah. So the bus service isn't good for you.
Yeah.
So you use them. And are they cheap or expensive?
From this year, it's a kind of expensive, because last year we have 12 rubles, then 13 rubles per one ride, and now we have almost 20 rubles. It's kind of expensive. For transport service like this, it's really expensive.
And the idea being that it's a little bit more expensive, but it will get you where you want to go, right? It gets you, it works, as you said. The bus service does not work for you, but the marshrutki do.
Yeah, and marshutka much more faster than the bus.
Right.
I always come on time.
So now you can tie it back to time, right?
Yeah.
You can always be punctual. Dima, which do you use, the buses or the marshrutki?
No, I use only car.
So yet another variant.
So it's for me it's very difficult to use public traffic because I have a lot of work, and it's impossible to do everything on time when we use public traffic.
Okay. And that's the most expensive, right? More expensive to own a car and keep a car, right?
It's more expensive, but it's much more comfortable. So I think it's not very cheap to use public traffic. For example, 20 rubles for one time. It means so if you need to use public traffic for 3 or 5 times a day, money to use your own car.
And what does one bus ride cost? So if the marshutka is 20 rubles, what does the bus cost?
18 rubles.
18 for the bus.
For each.
Okay.
So sometimes you need to go 2 or 3 bus stops. It's very expensive for 5 minutes.
Yeah. And are there passes that you can use, or do you pay each time?
I didn't.
So if you have to be on 3 buses, Dima, do you pay each time, or can you have some pass that you just show that?
You can buy for проездной, I don't know how to translate.
Yeah. So
for 1 month, not for. I know, for example, in Moscow there are some kinds of such
pass. Yeah, very nice.
So you can buy for 5 times, for 10 times, for 1 week, but in Omsk only for 1 month and for 1/2 month. So it's not very difficult.
Okay. And so that's a very important part of Russian society, these networks of transportation. Professor Lero, when you were in Omsk, what did you ride on?
I rode, when I was in Omsk, I rode marshrutki. Sometimes I would take a taxi, or I would ride the bus, depending on where I was going. As often as not, though, I would rely on Professor Shestakov and his wonderful little automobile.
Yes. Well, we are coming up to the end of our time, and I am searching my memory, Professor Lero and Marston, to recall our topic for next week.
I'm blank. Let's see. Let me look. Look here on my plan, my synchronous plan.
Your sequential plan?
I think we're talking about the battlefield of the... No, next week we are finishing stereotypes. This is our second. Next is our 3rd class on stereotypes.
Okay.
And I don't have an outline for that, but we'll be continuing this conversation. We'll work on it.
All right.
Well, I have one parting question here.
Okay.
Since we heard that Professor Lero has a problem that when he travels in Russia, someone thinks he's a spy. What do you think about him to spy to Russians?
This is a good stereotype. Americans in Russia as spies. Anton, does Professor Lero look like a spy to you?
Not really, but I know that spies have various appearance.
The most important thing is he not look like a spy, right?
Exactly. That's why he may be a spy. Who knows? But anyway, Russians may be paranoid about Americans and any other kind of foreigners, and especially our secret services and secret services like FSB. They're quite paranoid, but they just do their job, in my opinion. They are protecting us from evil terrorists, exactly.
And Slava, what do you think? Do you think Professor Lero looks like a spy?
Who knows? Maybe.
Who knows? We'll leave it open. Maybe next week he will come in a trench coat.
Yeah. Here, speak into this wristwatch, please.
I think this has been a fantastic discussion this morning. Thank you all.
Very good. Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you all.
Vlad, I particularly appreciate your sense of humor this morning.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all, and we will see you next week and talk to you next week.
See you.
See you, sir.
Talk to you soon. Goodbye now.
Bye.